practices work for some and not for others. Now, yesterday's live, the audio wasn't perfect, and I knew that there could be that potential, but I might be able to fix some of the problems. Meantime, we're going to look at this in a more organized format because I love storytelling. And so as I listen to what I shared at 2 a.m. in the morning, if you wake up and you feel everything is lost, the journal prompts and or mindset practices work for you. Okay, so number one, let's begin with I'm Maria, 5D Mystic, mentor, content creator, podcast host. So spirituality and well-being and wellness. And I love to let you in on fun fact. I'm a person, so besides the spiritual stuff, what I know is you don't reprogram your subconscious or yourself. I don't objectify our journey because that's where, by distancing oneself from the journey. Well, let's just put it this way. Unsteady selves are bountiful. And so journal prompts, mindset practices, they work for everyone because you can write, you can think. When I do this left and right, okay, but the thing is, if you don't have a steady self-image, then you might not be expanding. So personal growth, spiritual growth, wellness comes because you have well-being and you're a human being, which is why only another human being can support you to learn what it feels like to safely self-regulate, because you'll co-regulate. That's if you're open to vulnerability. And so here's where this is a very in-depth topic. And what I've noticed is that there's a lot of people on subreddit groups that, and elsewhere, don't seem to want to use journal prompts or mindset practices correctly because they haven't even began to notice that they don't know how to process their emotional charges, effective realism. So when someone's struggling with life's purpose or with ascension, expansion, for the spiritual collective, or with relationships out there, I know exactly where they could go. And it's a long journey for some, but with a good therapist, it'll be a good journey. And then we will meet you, and yourself will be steady, and then you'll use these lovely journal prompts and mindset practices. Check out PayHip. I have bundles for you there. And check out Substack, where we will continue these lovely journal prompts, mindset practices, and conversations of what the embodied self-leaders bring. We bring the capacity for lovers, that means self-regulating beings, to create more leaders, while the fear-based followers create that which are validation loops. And so, number one, journal prompts and mindset practices work for those who have a steady self-image, which means you have nervous system, self-regulation skills. This is very important because those who don't have it, they don't notice the difference. And they learn a lot of words and techniques. And like when I was a teenager and when I was a novice marketer, I would use words too. I didn't know them. I didn't embody them. So you'll know if you embody a steady self-image and if you embody the capacity to be vulnerable, which is really fun for us. The feeling isn't dangerous and it doesn't stay charged. In fact, you notice yourself when you're charged. So steady self-image, nervous system, self-regulation skills. So your journal prompts will lead you to exactly that which is freeing up space here. But also practically you do have a window of tolerance that becomes one of welcome. So you'll feel more blissed out and the flow state. And the neuroscientists, the good ones, when I say that, it means that they're self-agents and they're aware of what human beings, what our human makeup is made for. It's made to thrive, and that's why with spirituality, well-being comes, but you don't need to do any spirituality. You don't have to believe in God and my mystical experiences. The Ways to God, I'm a co-author of the book. You can learn a little bit about me if you want. And also, there's another 9 of us, so you can hear different stories. But as I want to get through the list, so you want to be able to, with that self-regulation skill, you'll notice how you can get to your ventral vagal state. So it means you easily stay still, because see, the thing is, as Stephen Porges points out, that Dana, Ruflanius, all these amazing experts of the body, Dr. Daniel Siegel, when someone began their years, their first year of life is the most important, and then the first 3. And they don't have self-regulation in the way that I'm trying to describe. You don't need yoga because you're always abundant inside. And this is where it's just you, being you. And so you can grow the neuroplasticity the right way because you're using a body that's safe. And so I don't know what it's like to have a dysregulated body, because when my panic attacks come around, I know how to handle them and know how to do the very thing that I also got taught in my attachment trauma courses, and this is easy. And you do it over and over and over again, and it never brings fatigue or struggle, because the whole point is embodied self-leadership. Be yourself under pressure. So when you're activated, you know you are, and you know what it takes in order for those charges to move forth. So you have no issue with your child parts. You're not reparenting. Okay, so those who don't use journal prompts or mindset practices in a way that allows them to be blissful completely, and then, by the way, to meet their real self and to share their real self with us. And I'm going to use an answer that I gave to a subreddit question, because it was an experience, and that's because it's very important for me to share as a person who says your well-being involves other humans. No, we're not all perfect, but we all began as children. And so the entire group of fear-based leaders, 3D, 4D is what I call them, so they are living their subconscious. They continue objectifying themselves. They continue not noticing that they're dysregulated. So they'll do journal prompts. They'll do mindset practices. They'll offer you manifestation techniques and beyond of Jesus. And there will be people that will put all of these dysregulated people on pedestals. And that's their thing. A smart person, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, who's love-based, will say, you're dividing us. And it's based on epistemic laziness. Based on your biases, your charges. You got a very big story for you. Oh, by the way, labels, yeah, that only works for people who have basically small minds and don't notice it's a globe. Okay, so the blissfulness that comes from within those who live true spirituality is one of true humanity. So we can restore embodiment, create good resilience. And so 3, you anchor in the ventral vagal state and you process the charges. That's the difference. So with journal prompts, mindset practices, they support people who know how to, with their own self, stay in the middle. Then with your nervous system, you know, I'm activated, I'm self-regulating now. I will release in a healthy manner that which is anger, sadness, disgust, surprise, happiness, fear, and or any other situation. You have a healthy system around you, and it's not, I want people to validate my position. It's not the immature venting. Let's just put it this way, because I don't do the venting per se, but we all have charges. It's very different than passion. Passion is easygoing and expands you. So this is where some people in their dysregulation will think that grief is something to put on a pedestal. Well, that's called pseudo-aliveness. They're not grounded in their body. They're not connected, in fact, to their body. They're not present. So they're not using their prefrontal cortex, which is why alert. They're in a dysregulated, impaired, integrated bilaterally. It's not embodied brain. And so they're reactive in that moment. They're not processing anything. So if you're ruminating while you're journaling, that's not going to actually have you grow. And while everyone will have, at the end of the day, that which is called their own life, they will lead it however they want. It's not really a tool that will be used effectively because they have decided to stay within their 0-8-year-old non-metabolized trauma time, to stay within the charges of their biases, of their affective realism, to project. And therefore, with the dark sides of neuroplasticity, they're just going to, like any other group that remains, we are the right ones, they're the wrong ones. And so it's very easy for those who have a window of tolerance that expands to a window of welcome to continuously pursue what's called blissed out state, because in the eustress, you're you're able to have the compassion that you would have from that primary caregiver. And really, it's your 0-1-year-old that's getting you to be able to securely attach it and then know, yep, we got a bunch of people out there and they're all different. And so subjective experience is real. So I'm never going to have a 1-to-1, a 1-to-100 that is exactly the same as I feel or I think. But if I'm mature enough with that, which are mindset practices and journal prompts that give you the capacity to continue emotionally regulating yourself, you continue to grow more funny. So you are able to not take things personally, to not be divisive based on labels and that which instead subconsciously led, I call them teenagers, do. So the last part. So as you anchor in your ventral vagal state, when you are journaling or doing mindset practices, when you are middle of the night, let's say you wake up and you're feeling lost or whatever's going on, of course, again, I hope you all have support systems, meaning people that you can talk to. But if, let's just say you don't, you're going to be able to do growth with you. It's about how journal prompts and mindset practices support those who have a steady self-image. They have nervous system regulation skills, and that means they can anchor in ventral vagal state. And so as a person is working through charge, whether it's that you woke up at 2 a.m. feeling lost, or whether it's something went down at work, or some twin flame, I'm a mystic, twin flames. So whatever it may be, because you are able to stay grounded in your body, connected and present, when you do use journal prompts, questions, for example, how does my irritation, judgment block me from being of service or support to others, society, to inspire human potential, to be of support to myself? Yes. And so when you're waking up, if you like, on PayHip, I offer bundles for journal prompts and mindset practices. I'm a mystic mentor, content creator, podcast host, so personal growth, spiritual growth. Paul, who's asking, I will be going shortly, but what I'm trying to explain is the difference with those who aren't personally growing because not they're choosing on purpose. It's that they need first good therapy. And actually, before I forget, I want to interject with this question that I answered on subreddit because it's important. So I actually will have a topic recorded on it at some point. But the window of tolerance, it expands to when to welcome, when you're able to comfort yourself in the way that your nervous system can. Those who are still not practiced 100% with it, they will continue to do it because the bright sides of neuroplasticity, curiosity, leads you to become stronger. The only reason someone won't do it, and that's why I call it a teenage version, it's the fight response. They just choose that they want to put their foot down like a 3-year-old, validate their herd's opinions. And when I say that, what I mean are, let me grab my notes. Where's my notes? The emotionally immature, not only people, but leadership. And so that's the insecure ego, validating, seeking, ego protection, defensiveness. Therefore, the inability to tolerate discomfort. So for example, why does life bring me X, Y, Z, D? And why does, for some, they want to curse God. For some, they want to curse something. So that's just, you're very upset. It's something that happens. Growing more resilient with it makes you be able to have this equanimous stance, which is your body's health. And so the question, was the experience this person, they ended up using AI as a therapist because they didn't find the right therapist, and they're actually recovering. It was either with drugs or alcohol, which is a very important situation. So they're in AI chat GPT, and I saw a lot of other people. I don't teach yoga, jada, but I'm a Reiki master, so energy therapy, and I also do tarot and an Akashic record reader. But I do know of yoga, and actually I've attended some of Sadhguru's online yoga, what are they called, sessions. It's very helpful for the ventral vagal toning, and I do love, I can't do all the poses, but I do enjoy it when I get to it. So mindfulness, that's also part of my practicing. And so even this, so mindfulness, yoga, anything that involves the body, what I understand after all my attachment trauma education is that some people are not ready just yet for that. And while some will say everyone is healing, what I have noticed are some people, they end up not healing. So this person who's saying, oh, I used AI, went really great, while the 3-4 therapists that were awful didn't go great. And so everybody was chiming in on how great AI is, and I'm like, AI doesn't have a nervous system for you to learn how to self-regulate. So Reiki is it's energy healing. And so you get into a meditative state, and with the person's permission, you connect to them. You can work on the chakras, on the balancing of the chakras, or you can work on healing. Also, aspects from past lives, if you will. Depends what you believe in, Jada. But I forget the origins, the specifics, because I'm not really great with all those details, but it's energy therapy. So from afar or from nearby. And it doesn't only work on the aura, the chakras, the 7 layers, but it can also involve other aspects. I can't teach you yoga because I don't know it as a professor, but if you are curious of yoga, there's this website, Embodied Philosophy. but did I remember it correctly? But yeah, they have some good yoga teachers there. So yeah, that's actually, I think it's embodied philosophy. I took one more courses from them, but there's one with yoga teachers, so you'd find a lot of them there. So on this on this Reddit post, I said, while AI is great to talk to, it can't co-regulate with you. And that's because it has no nervous system. So one of the things I've learned throughout the years is that somatic empaths support people to heal. So fragments come up and not states of self, not like, fragmented states of self. There's a difference. So the embodied brain is really amazing. That's why the good therapists are out there. And people who think AI can replace, well, I know it can't replace a human, because you actively won't be able to feel that you have been welcomed. So safe haven, secure base, securely attached. So number one, with yourself. That's where journal prompts, mindset practices. You wake up at 2 a.m., at 3, whatever you're worried about, it's going to help you because you have a good relationship with the body and your brain. You're bilaterally integrated. You're not looking to validate your charges. You're understanding all of those 6 basic and more human emotions. And from the spiritual perspective, no one doubts God, and also no one thinks of it, at least in our 5D collective is what I call it, that he's testing anything. That's very old news. But I digress, and I want to conclude with, I shared in the group what I shared because a person who has that significant of a journey to heal will need someone to learn self-regulation. You can't learn it by yourself. But then after that, to be able to continue to bring it. So for those people, I'm going to say journaling and mindset supports them, but with their responsibility of, I need a good therapist, and it might take 7 to 10 years. And as you continue doing that, then once they're ready, personal growth, spiritual growth, that continues to take place. But someone saying, here, let me reprogram your subconscious, or here, use AI and you can do it all by yourself, that's really a false sense of security, but also you're bullshitting yourself. Now, some people will prefer to do that. I don't think that's necessary. I think that all people can take that which is science that has built in the past years to inform us of what our body is made of and what the embodied brain is made of. And so with journal prompts and mindset practices, if you have steady self-image, embodied self-leaders, welcome aboard, nervous system regulation, check out Substack. I have content there. Check out PayHip for bundles, and let's help to make the world for real a better place with more integration. As Dr. Daniel Siegel has pointed out, that means that there's one more safe haven, secure base for yourself and for others. And so in those moments, I've had panic attacks in the middle of the night, and more than just that, I've been able to do the ventral vagal state activation, and I don't have to be irritated or upset, or it expands the window tolerance every time. And so you become more welcoming of those moments. No, you never become welcoming necessarily, but you build more funny bones, and eventually you zero out that which are trauma charges, because there are 0-1 attached, panicky, 3 to 7 shame, submissive, freeze of all ages, flight 11-12, and fight 14-15-16. That's from one of my courses and my teacher Sue Martin. So that's different than fragments, which is something very important. But the good news is, even with the fragments, everyone can heal. And so once those individuals are steady within their bodies and their brains, they can use journal prompts like we do, and they can continue to make the world a better place. And therefore, they're going to be ground in reality people, as Sam Harris points out, which means our cherishable beliefs, they can be falsifiable. We have fun. We're epistemically curious, disciplined, and diligent, not the lazy stuff. Science is true, whether we believe in it or not, and they don't disprove any of God, but they definitely explain the perfection that everyone is. I love Jesus, Holy Spirit, God. Even though I'm not accepted by all, and all I can say is the kingdom of God, thank you, Jesus, as he spoke those words, is within us. That guru speaks the word enlightenment. The seed of enlightenment is within us. And I'm going to say, if you achieve restored embodiment and you pursue resilience, the good kind, you're going to know what I'm talking about, what they're talking about, and the blissed out state, and what neuroscientists talk about. And so the less connected you are, as Neil deGrasse points out, to what is objectively true, the less likely you are able to make decisions that will benefit your life, the life of your family, and even civilization itself. Unfortunately, we do know that no matter what objective truths we can communicate effectively to those like the flat earthers, they will not believe or hear us. But what we also want to remember is that we don't have to be rigid or chaotic towards them, because that won't make a difference either. And actually, that's where we want to know that flexibility, adaptability, coherence, energization, and stability, as Dr. Daniel Siegel points out, those are what we have when we're able to sift through our own sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. And so with that, we understand it's no need for me to speak. If someone's convinced, they're convinced. I can try to, okay, look, AI, you had fun with it, just know it's not a person. So bringing that one in again, and you won't be able to do the complete journey of healing, but the rest is personal responsibility. Obviously, good therapists and any of good professionals will take that responsibility. I say I support people. I can support you because I'm anchored in ventral energy. I can be in a room and notice if I am charged. I can also remove my charge, meaning take ownership of it and continue to work and harmonize the situation. That's where our 5D collective is at, and forgiveness is something that all those who are emotionally mature can bring forth, because we all can make mistakes, every single human, and we don't need to blame a demon or dehumanize or demonize any of groups. So in the meantime, thanks for listening to some extra shares, and I'll leave you with a journal prompt. What happens when I increase flexibility as I soften control, or as you soften resistance, or how about emotional charges? Anything specific that comes to mind? Or fill in the blank. And my favorite, how has my ability to create steadiness from uncertainty helped me to stay true to myself, to help others, and to expand humanity? Question mark. Check out PayHip, links in the description box below, Substack. We'll be back with more. Have a good one.